The average American worker will earn approximately $2 million over the course of their lifetime, and yet somehow the median retirement savings for someone in their 60s sits at just over $200,000. That means somewhere between the first paycheck and the last, 90% of everything you ever earned simply vanished. It didn't get stolen in some dramatic heist. There was no market crash that wiped you out overnight. No, it disappeared slowly, silently, invisibly, extracted from your life through a system so elegant in its design that you actually thanked it for privilege. You called it making a living. You called it building career. You called it the American dream. But here's the uncomfortable truth that no one in your HR department will ever tell you. Your salary was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you just comfortable enough to keep showing up, just stressed enough to never stop, and just broke enough to never leave. Your paycheck isn't compensation for your value. It's a subscription fee you pay to remain poor. My name is Godwin. Today, I'm dismantling one of the most sophisticated financial traps ever constructed, the middle class trap. And I'm going to show you exactly how your income, your taxes, and your lifestyle have been weaponized against your own future. If you're the kind of person who values financial clarity over comfortable illusions, you may want to join this network by subscribing. What we discuss here isn't designed for the masses. It's designed for a few who are ready to see the game board from above. Let's begin. To understand why your salary is functionally a scam, you first have to understand what a salary actually represents in the broader architecture of wealth. When you trade your time for money, you are engaging in what economists call linear income. 1 hour of your labor equals 1 unit of pay. You cannot scale it. You cannot multiply it. You cannot earn more by working smarter, only by working longer. And here's where the trap begins to close. The moment you accept a salary, you have agreed to cap your upside while assuming unlimited downside. Think about it. If your company doubles its revenue next quarter, do you get paid twice as much? Of course not. You get the same paycheck. Maybe a modest bonus if leadership is feeling generous. But if that same company decides to cut costs, who absorbs the downside? You do. Your position gets eliminated. Your income goes to zero overnight. This is the asymmetric nature of employment that no one discusses during the interview process. The corporation captures the upside. You absorb the risk. And somehow, you've been convinced this is security. But let's go deeper, because the salary itself is only the first layer of the trap. The second layer is far more insidious, and it's called lifestyle creep. Here's how it works. You graduate from college, maybe with some debt, and you land your first real job making $50,000 a year. After years of living like a broke student, this feels like a fortune. You get an apartment. You buy a decent car. You start eating at restaurants that don't have a dollar menu. This feels earned. This feels reasonable. Then you get promoted. Now you're making $70,000. Do you save that extra $20,000? No. You move to a nicer apartment. You upgrade the car. You start taking vacations that look good on Instagram. Your expenses rise to meet your income like water filling a container. 3 years later, you're making $90,000 and you're somehow still living paycheck to paycheck, except now you're doing it with a German car and a leather couch. This is lifestyle creep, and it is a silent killer of middle-class wealth. Every raise you receive feels like progress, but in reality, you're just running faster on the same treadmill. Psychologists call this a hedonic treadmill, the phenomenon where humans quickly adapt to new levels of comfort and return to a baseline level of satisfaction regardless of income. You thought more money would make you feel wealthy, but instead, it just made poverty more comfortable. Now, let's add the third layer of the trap, and this is where it gets genuinely dark. It's called the tax code, and it was not designed for people like you. When you earn a W-2 salary in America, you are taxed at the highest rates with the fewest deductions available. Federal income tax takes its cut first, somewhere between 12 and 37% depending on your bracket. Then Social Security and Medicare take another 7.65% off the top. If you live in a state like California or New York, add another 10 to 13% for state income tax. By the time your paycheck hits your bank account, you've already lost 30 to 50% of your gross income, and you haven't even paid rent yet. Now contrast this with how the wealthy are taxed. They don't earn salaries. They earn through capital gains, dividends, and business income. Long-term capital gains are taxed at a maximum of 20%, almost half of what the highest earners pay on ordinary income. Business owners can deduct expenses, depreciate assets, and defer income in ways that salaried employees legally cannot access. This isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. The U.S. tax code is over 70,000 pages long, and the vast majority of those pages contain advantages for people who own assets, not people who trade time for money. The IRS doesn't care about your hard work. It cares about how your income is classified. And if it's classified as wages, you're the most taxed citizen in America. So, let's do some uncomfortable math. Say you earn $100,000 per year, a respectable salary by any measure. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare, you're left with roughly $65,000, maybe less depending on where you live. Now subtract housing, because in most major American cities, a modest apartment or small home costs at least $24,000 a year. You're down to $41,000. Subtract car payments, insurance, and gas, another $8,000, down to $33,000. Health insurance premiums, even with employer contribution, costs another $6,000. $27,000 left. Food, utilities, phone, internet, that's another $10,000. $17,000 remaining. And we haven't even touched clothing, childcare, student loan payments, credit card minimums, or the occasional attempt at enjoying your life. By the end of the year, if you're lucky, you might save $5,000 to $8,000. At that rate, it would take you over 100 years to save your way to $1 million. And that's before inflation erodes the purchasing power of every dollar you set aside. This is what I mean when I say your salary is a monthly subscription to poverty. It provides just enough income to maintain the illusion of progress, while structurally preventing actual wealth accumulation. And here's where the American system becomes almost poetic in its cruelty. The very institutions designed to help you build wealth have been engineered to keep your money locked away while benefiting someone else. Take the 401k, for example. On the surface, it seems like a generous benefit. Your employer matches a percentage of your contribution, you get a tax deduction, and your money grows tax-deferred. But look closer. You cannot access that money until you're 59 and a half without paying a 10% penalty. You are legally restricted from using your own wealth during the most productive decades of your life. Meanwhile, that money isn't sitting in a vault somewhere. It's being managed by financial institutions who charge you fees, sometimes hidden, to invest in funds that may or may not outperform a simple index. The average 401k fee structure costs investors tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime, money that goes directly to Wall Street while you wait patiently for permission to retire. The Roth IRA offers slightly more flexibility, but it too has contribution limits designed to prevent ordinary people from accumulating too much tax-advantaged wealth. You can only contribute $6,500 a year, $7,500 if you're over 50. Meanwhile, billionaires have been known to hold hundreds of millions inside Roth structures through strategies that are technically legal but completely inaccessible to anyone without seven-figure income and elite financial advisors. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as intended. You just weren't the intended beneficiary. So what is the alternative? How do you escape a trap that surrounds you on every side? The answer is deceptively simple but culturally difficult. You must stop playing by the rules that were designed to keep you in place. First, you need to understand the concept of capital allocation. Every dollar you earn is a soldier in your financial army. Most people let their soldiers desert by spending them on liabilities disguised as necessities. Subscription services, daily coffees, car payments on vehicles that depreciate the moment you drive them off the lot. These aren't small expenses. They're capital leaks, and over decades, they represent hundreds of thousands of dollars that could have been deployed into assets that generate returns. The wealthy understand that a dollar spent is not just a dollar lost. It's also the future growth of that dollar, compounded over time. $100 wasted today could have been $1,000 in 20 years. This is what economists call opportunity cost, and most people never calculate it, because doing so would force them to confront how much wealth they've already sacrificed on the altar of comfort. Second, you must transition from linear income to asymmetric upside. This doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job tomorrow. It means recognizing that your salary should be a launch pad, not a destination. Use your earned income to purchase assets, whether that's index funds, real estate, a small business, or equity in ventures with scalable potential. The goal is to eventually reach a point where your assets generate more income than your labor. When that happens, you have escaped the trap. You are no longer renting your life from an employer. You own it. Third, and perhaps most importantly, you must resist a lifestyle creep with almost religious discipline. Every raise should feel like an opportunity to accelerate your freedom, not upgrade your captivity. The moment you buy a bigger house or a nicer car, you have extended your sentence. You have voluntarily added years to the timeline before you can stop trading time for money. This requires a psychological shift that most people cannot make because it contradicts every message society sends you. You are told to spend because you deserve it. You are told to keep up with peers because status matters. You are told to enjoy life now because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. But here's the paradox. The people who enjoy the most freedom in life are the ones who delayed gratification the longest. They lived below their means when it wasn't glamorous, so they could live beyond their means when it mattered most. Ask yourself this. How many more years are you willing to trade for things that won't matter in a decade? How many more promotions do you need before you realize the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall? The middle-class trap persists not because people are lazy or unintelligent. It persists because the system rewards compliance and punishes deviation. It persists because it's easier to scroll through social media and buy things that make you feel successful than to do the quiet, boring work of building actual wealth. It persists because every institution, from the Federal Reserve to Madison Avenue, benefits from your participation in the consumption economy. You are not a citizen in this system. You are a resource to be extracted. But here's what they don't want you to realize. The extraction only continues as long as you allow it. The moment you see the game clearly, you can start playing by different rules. You can lower your expenses ruthlessly and redirect the surplus into assets. You can educate yourself on tax strategies that business owners use, even if that means starting a side business just to access the deductions. You can invest in yourself, in skills that compound, in networks that open doors, in knowledge that reveals opportunity invisible to the untrained eye. None of this is easy. If it were, everyone would do it, and the middle-class trap would cease to exist. But it is possible, and that possibility is the most valuable thing you can hold on to. Your salary is not your wealth. Your lifestyle is not your success. And your comfort is not your security. The question is whether you're willing to act on that truth or whether you'll close this video, go back to scrolling, and wake up tomorrow inside the same trap you woke up in today. The choice, as it always has been, is entirely yours.